Hi everyone. Thanks a lot for joining our very little class. We decided to do like a small group, almost a one-on-one study group, I would say, to walk you through the report and answer any questions if you have taken the skin microbiome test. So I'm Dr. Elsa Jugman, the founder and CEO, and I'm the one who launched the skin microbiome kit that you should have. So the purpose is really to explain to you how your results work and answer any question you may have. And if you have questions about your own report, I'll be happy to try to answer them during this class or to have a separate call after that we can schedule together. So I hope everyone is doing well. So let's get started. And I have with me Millie from our team who will also help me moderate this class.
Hi, everyone.
Millie, where do you want to start?
Let's just start. You want to share your screen and kind of walk through? So
Sure.
Guys, I'm going to kind of be the Elsa's the microbiome expert. So, and I'm on the marketing team here. So I'm kind of gonna be a perspective and asking Elsa, okay, what does this section mean? How did you come up with this? Asking those questions, and feel free also to use the chat to communicate any questions you might have.
We will be monitoring. I think what could be useful is to start with a little backup on the test if you haven't done the test yet. So you should have this box that inside contains an instruction card, but also what's very important, it also contains your kit with your kit ID on it, and also a little clear Ziploc with a return envelope with a prepaid USPS postage stamp. Very important to keep your return envelope and the Ziploc to return your sample. And the way the test works is that first, as soon as you get your kit, when you're ready, even before you do the test, that's what I recommend, you can go to mydrej.com. There is actually a QR code on the instruction card, so very easy, and you just follow the instruction. You register your kit ID. I also recommend you to take a picture of your kit ID because in case you throw away this little bag, just to keep it for the record in case you don't get your results in time or you have questions. If you have your kit ID, it makes our job a bit easier. But if not, don't worry, we can always find your kit ID if you have already registered. And then when you go to mydrej.com, the way it's going to work, and actually, if you want, we can do it now. I can try to do a kit login. And actually, I will show you my report. But when you enter the kit login, we will ask you a few questions about your skin and your wellness to make sure that the result we give you match also any problem and skin goals that you have for yourself. Let me know if you have any question about the kit registration, getting the kit, if you run into any issues. Remember, if you have any problem through that process, you can simply email us at support@drej.com and we answer within a day, usually your request.
Yeah, and I'm curious, guys, anyone in the chat, has anyone here done the kit? Are you guys thinking about doing the test? It'd be kind of cool to see. Feel free to write in the chat if you have. Elsa, I know that we've gotten this question on our Instagram before and a bunch of other people have asked, but why is it just the forehead?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we started working on this instruction and protocol years ago before COVID. Before COVID, actually, we did the first research study on the cheek, which is quite common. But the issue is that when we launched our pilot study about, I would say, a little less than a year ago, we were all already wearing masks, and we were worried that the masks you wear every day that touch your cheek would contaminate your skin with some bacteria that are actually more from the mask than really your skin. And so we decided to choose the forehead area, first because I think also we use a bit less skincare on that area. And what's good about the forehead, because it's still the face, we saw in some data that actually the bacteria, the communities you have on your forehead are very close to what we see on the cheek. And do not worry, because even if you, let's say you suffer from certain skin issues and you don't have any problem on your forehead, we can still detect microorganisms that are representative of that issues. That's what we've seen, and actually we are even troubleshooting some case where it seems like some people seems to have, a forehead that is almost as, very, very problematic, which is very unusual, but we can really detect some unusual bacteria or community profile that represent that problematic skin. So that's what,
Cool.
that's why we
Yeah.
chose the forehead. And like that, it's less prone to contamination than the cheek.
Love it. Thank you.
So I'm going to share my screen, because I think that's why everybody's here, is to really see what the experience look like digitally and what the report looks like. And I will be walking you through the report and answering any question you have about the report. Actually, it's my personal report. I also have skin issues, even though I'm trying to be as careful as I can with my skin, but it was very important for me, of course, to do the test and also to see the relevancy of my own data for the test. So when you want to access your report, it's exactly the same step as when you register your kit for the first time. You go to drij.com, or you can choose to go directly to your profile with the QR code of the instruction. And you simply go here. You always go here for kit login. You click here. Maybe my internet is a bit slow, yeah. And then you arrive here. If you haven't registered your kit yet, I highly recommend you, as soon as you receive your kit, to register it, even if you don't plan to test immediately, only because some people, they do the test after, they mail it back, and it can happen that people have not registered and don't know their kit ID. So then we will receive your results, but because everything is anonymized, when we collect your data, we only collect your kit ID. We don't have your name or your email before it gets into our cloud system, where we match the email you entered during registration. So just be aware of that. We made it as secure as we could, the whole system. So that's why if you don't have your kit ID, and even if we have received your result, we will never know who those results are on to if you haven't registered ahead. So very, very important. So go here if you haven't. Oh, we'll make sure that everyone is mute. Sorry, just give me 1 sec. Yeah, just make sure that. Millie, can you check if everyone is mute? Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's muted except for Julianne and Anais. If you guys just want to mute yourself, just so we don't get the background noise. I'm not host, so I can't mute you guys. But
so then you go to, after you've registered, you go to your login. Sorry, let me try to. Okay, all good. And then I already have here my email plus the password that I choose during registration, and I log in to my profile.
So Elsa, this is what people are going to see when they get their email that their results are ready. This is where they're going to log in.
Even before. Yeah,
even before.
Even after you register, you can always log into your platform. And when your report is ready, you will see here my personalized report, and you will be able to access it. Before, we recommend you to go there, because there is a video here that you can watch that has all the instruction about how to do the swabbing, that I highly, highly recommend to watch before you swab. Actually, I can do it pretty quickly here if you still see me, but you always have to swab with no makeup or skincare on your face. So what we recommend is that the night before testing, you do not apply any skincare on your face, not even a serum or moisturizer. You clean your face, you go to bed, and in the morning, first thing you do before showering is swabbing your forehead. My little tip to not forget is just put the test kit in front of your mirror in your bathroom, so you will think about it before doing anything to your face. And then for you repeat 8 times the rubbing like that on your forehead, and you turn the swab between each 10 rubs. Everything is explained very clearly in the video. It's very easy. You just have to make sure that you apply enough pressure with the swab to make sure that we will collect enough microorganisms, and always touch the swab before the breaking point. You don't want to touch here, it will maybe contaminate your data. So that's what you do. And once you're done, you take your collection tube that you carefully open, and you insert the swab that you break like that. And this will go to the freezer for at least 24 hours. After that, you put it in the Ziploc, or I even recommend to put it in the Ziploc for the freezer so it protects the collection tube. And that's it. You also enter your contact info, like just the collection date. That's always useful to have. It's okay if you forgot. We have also your kit ID here. It's the same as on that bag. And then you put it back in the mailing envelope. That's it. You have nothing else to put, and ship it back, and we will receive it at the lab for the analysis just a few days after. That's how it works. And usually the wait time is between 1 to 2 weeks after the lab got your sample for you to get your report.
Awesome, thank you.
And this is how the report looks like. So my report already, so I go to my personalized report. And this is all the section you will see. What is great is that here I'm on my desktop, but actually we created the report to be mobile friendly. So feel free from your mobile to access your digital report. It looks really cool on mobile. It works very well. You can even do, screen pics if you want of the recommendation. This is the different section of the report. First, you don't have to read all that text, but it's really to explain to you why the skin microbiome is important and what you can benefit from learning about it. Just a quick recap. Yeah, you love it? Thank you. And I think you help us wrote it as well, Millie, so thank you.
Who wrote this?
But basically, your microbiome, the microbiome is the ecosystem of microorganisms that you have that live, on your skin, all over your body, but also in your body. You may have heard about, all the gut bacteria, probiotic. It's exactly the same for the skin and your face. However, and that's why we developed the skin microbiome test, depending on which area of your body you're looking at, the microbiome is not the same everywhere. You're not going to detect the same microorganism in your gut like you're going to detect them on your skin. And let's say maybe a bacteria that can be good for the gut doesn't mean it's going to be good for your skin, because it's very different ecosystem and population of microorganisms. So everyone has a very unique microbiome. It's very rare that we see two similar microbiome. And anything you do to your skin, whether it's your skincare routine, it's your stress level, it's the environment you live in, if you live in the countryside or in the city, your age, your hormone journey, if you're pregnant, if you're going through menopause, if you have cycles, all of that will really influence your skin microbiome, particularly in women. So that's what we're interested in, and that's the kind of insight we want to offer. So by discovering your own microbiome, you will be able to see, especially if you have certain, I would say, skin disbalance, you will be able to see if you have certain bacteria or fungi that actually maybe are problematic or not for your skin. It's also, it's not a medical diagnosis, but feel free to show it to your dermatologist if you think that the result could help them. And we have some clients who've done that. We don't do any medical recommendation, but it's a good tool to use, that I don't think could cause any harm if you want to share it. That's what we recommend. So the first part of the report, we actually show you the result of your skin profile, that are the data that you have answered in the quiz. It's not something we guess from your microbiome. I want to make that clear. So we remind you your date of birth. So I'm born in July 1984. That was my, sorry, I'm going to. This was my stress level at the time when I did the test, so mild stress, I would say. Skin type dry. I have super dry skin. That's my big problem. Sometimes my skin is even a little flaky, I would say. And my recurring skin issue is actually dryness. So certain time of the month, like actually today, my skin is particularly dry. I put a lot of moisturizing serum, and still it's I feel like it's that time of the month where my skin gets even drier. And I think it's also because of the environment, because outside it was really cold today in San Francisco, and I can feel it on my skin. And one of my skin goals is to boost moisture and glow. Also, one of my skin goals, as I get close to my 40s, is also maybe to prevent, wrinkles and help my skin to age well. So that's what I entered in my quiz. So if you don't have any question, I'll jump right in the microbiome overview. So feel free to ask me any question while I present. I will be monitoring the chat. So here we get right deep into the science and your data that are very unique to you. First, we disclose you the number of bacterial cells. It means that it's the quantity of bacteria we've detected. Usually it's around the million range, but for some people it will be around, let's say, 100,000, and over it can be over 20 millions. I've seen it. And then it's the number of fungal cells. So we detect two types of microorganisms with the test. The bacteria, that is the highest population of microorganisms on your skin, and also the fungi. The third class of microorganisms we don't look at, and actually they are in extremely small quantity, are viruses. Yes, that's something that we can also study for the skin, but it's much lower than bacteria and fungi. For fungal, my load is around 200,000 here. And it's actually, we've seen with the data we've collected that it's normal to have at least around 10 times more bacteria than we have fungi. So that's how it is. And then what's very interesting is to look at how many different types of bacteria we've detected. That is linked to what we call the diversity of bacteria. And we see in some test results, sometimes we only detect, for example, 2 or 3 bacteria. For myself, I have over 100, which is a pretty big number. I was happy to see that. We cannot really say today if having a high diversity is healthy or not. There are some studies with different conclusions on that matter, because what we see is that as we age, we tend to lose certain good bacteria that are in very high amount, which increase the diversity. So it's not always a good thing, but historically we thought diversity was very important. Now we are not so sure anymore. What we know, however, and what we are seeing from all the data we are collecting is regarding the number of fungal species. We see that in sensitive skin, the quantity of fungi is actually lower than the quantity of bacteria, and that it seems that sensitive skin have a higher diversity of fungi than healthier skin, meaning that if your skin is not healthy, it's possible that the number of fungi can be pretty high, which is not necessarily something very positive for you. And then we calculated, if you're a microbiologist, you heard about that number, what we call the diversity of bacteria. Sorry, I have to make sure everyone is mute. We calculate the diversity of bacteria, the Shannon index, that represents how diverse your microbiome is. So it's directly linked to the number of bacterial species. The closest you are to 0, the more it means that your bacteria diversity is very low. Oh, sorry, there's a baby crying. Okay. All good. Babies are welcome too. And babies actually, I just swabbed my baby's microbiome. I can talk about it if we have time after. It was very interesting.
Elsa, I have a quick question. In your research, I know that you said diversity isn't really a correlation between healthy skin, but is the amount like the first number that we saw that you said could be in between 100,000 to 1 million or 200,000, or this one, yeah.
Yes.
Is there any correlation there with that and skin health that you've discovered, just the amount of cells that have been detected?
Yes, I mean, we try not to take that number too much into account. For one reason is that depending on the pressure that you apply when you do the swab, you're going to collect more or less bacteria. Of course, if you're below, I would say 100,000, I would think, it's weird, it's a bit low. Maybe I will ask the customer if we have a 101 call, okay, did you apply a lot of pressure? Are you taking any antibiotic treatment? Try to understand a bit more what's happening on why the load is so low. What I've seen is that for people who have a very high number of bacteria, often it's more combination oily skin. Just because you have a bit more sebum, we collect a bit more with the swabbing. But what is more interesting, I think, is the ratio between bacteria and fungi, because usually we like to see it around 1/10, like we see it here. If we see a very high amount of fungi compared to bacteria, that's less common. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that we will dig more maybe into why is that, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's what we see. And then a very important number is the microbiome score. That's a calculation we've made of what we understand. We calculated it based on your bacteria, not based on your fungi, because it's what is known the most in the scientific research. And what we did is that we calculated the ratio of bacteria that you have on your skin that's classified as good versus bacteria that are classified as bad, and what percentage you add of each. The ratio is between -2 to +2. What I can say today, from the data we've seen, I would say a healthy microbiome I've observed is above +1. If you're below +1, like myself, it means that if you're close to 1, your microbiome is okay, but maybe a bit fragile. And if you're really close to 0, that's not good. And negative is quite rare, it can happen. But when you have a negative number, it means that something is really off. That's what we've been observing with the report we've been getting, and I can give some example. What's great about that score is that very easily you can have a snapshot in seeing on understanding how your microbiome is, if it seems quite off, or if actually no, you seem to be doing a good job, or maybe your skin is actually quite balanced, and maybe if you have skin issue, it doesn't seem to come from your microbiome. Or sometimes the opposite. Often we see that, microbiome for like sensitive skin or people who have some skin issues, or it's often below 1. I personally have very dry skin and rosacea, so I was not surprised. Even though I'm extremely careful with my skin, I've been microbiome friendly for like many years now. I use super minimal skincare, and you will see in my report how that helped my microbiome, but I still have some inherent issues that it's something that's more difficult to really rebalance. So after that, we'll jump right into the detail of the report. What we did is that we selected the top 10 bacteria detected from your results to explain to you what influence they had on your microbiome. So for me, the bacteria that was detected at the highest level was called Cutibacterium acnes. It's almost at 70%. We used to think that Cutibacterium acnes was bad for you, that it was a bad bacteria causing acne. And you can see that all the treatment regarding acne on the market today are trying to actually kill Cutibacterium acnes, when in reality, it's actually a good bacteria. There are subcategories of C. acnes, what we call a bacterial strains, that can be today problematic for the skin, but it's not something we can see in this report, and there are no tests today that can tell you that or not. But at least it gives you an overview of your Cutibacterius acne load. In a healthy skin, I would say Cutibacterium acne should be at least at 70%. If it's below, very often it's in extremely dry skin or problematic skin. And for some clients that have a balanced skin, it can be at even 99%. We see it from time to time, and you should not freak out if that's what you see in your report. The second bacteria that was detected for me, and I think this is thanks to the microbiome-friendly regimen I'm doing and using our product line, Dr. Elsa Hugman, I have a very good bacteria called Staphylococcus epidermidis. That is a bacteria that a lot of companies are actually trying to increase. It's over 10%, which is really high. It's a very beneficial bacteria for the skin. And in general, I would say the range is around 5% or lower. So for me, it's particularly high. And we know that our microbiome-friendly regimen of the cleanser and the moisturizing serum show an increase of Staphylococcus epidermidis because we did a pilot research last spring, where this is actually the conclusion we saw on almost 100 participants, that actually the treatment helped to increase that good bacteria. So I think that's why, even though I have dry and problematic skin originally, the fact that I'm being very microbiome friendly, that I don't do any harsh treatment, meaning I don't clean my skin too much. I only use a very gentle oil cleanser to remove makeup. I try to never strip my skin, because if I do, then I have like a rosacea breakout. My skin is super sensitive to cleanser. And the fact that I keep it very well moisturized helped me having like a good amount of Cutibacterium acnes and Staphylococcus epidermidis, which is great.
And a quick question that I know people have asked is, what happens kind of in between you sending out the test, your swab out, and getting these results? Kind of, could you walk us through quickly what goes on in the lab that they can identify all these different bacteria and fungi? Yeah, because that sounds really interesting. I don't even know how you petri dish.
No, it's not a petri dish, because you would do the petri dish kind of to study, one type of bacteria. Here we are doing a quantitative study. So the lab, when they receive your collection tube, they only take a very small amount of that solutions. The rest is being frozen and we keep it. So if we see an issue with your result, we will rerun again your sample. And then we do what we call a next generation sequencing method, where we actually track all the species of bacteria and fungi that are known in the library that can be, detected and know at which amount. So that's how it's working. It's a very advanced technique. And the lab we collaborate with, they even do, a lot of medical tests. Actually, they've done very well with COVID because they did a lot of COVID tests.
I'm sure.
So that's why it's great to be partnering with them, because we can really use the most advanced technique to detect what's on your skin for your skin microbiome.
Cool.
But to continue on my data, I think what was interesting is that I saw I had 5% of Corynebacterium bovis, which is a bacteria, you see, it's not what you want to see. It has like more of a red flag. And actually, it's a bacteria that has been detected on more like scaly dermatitis skin. And I think, when I remember when I did the test, because I didn't put any moisturizer, my skin was just so dry and was kind of flaky, scaly. I think that's how it picked up that bacteria, because I had a particularly dry skin when I did the test. So that's very interesting to see. And I'll be curious to see, as my skin gets less dry, how down this bacteria will go, or maybe it will also completely disappear. So that's for my bacteria. I won't get into all the detail. After I can see like more bacteria.
How often? I was saying, how often on the test results are you seeing bad bacteria show up for people? Is it more rare? Is it more?
No, a lot of people who take the test, some of them have balanced skin, report to have no skin issues, but very often what we're seeing is like, for example, people who report atopic skin or sensitive skin. We detect certain type of bacteria, like the one I have myself, that really shows, and that I would say are above 1% at least. So it's really showing your top 10 and we can flag them. One other bacteria that I don't have, and I was surprised, maybe it's thanks to the line that I use, but another bacteria, another type of Corynebacterium bacteria called Kroppenstetti, we call it CK because it starts with a C and then it's a K, has been shown in the literature to be present in sensitive skin, and it's a bacteria we actually detect very frequently in sensitive skin.
Wow.
There is another bacteria, I cannot talk about it because we are trying to patent and protect that discovery, but because this has never been seen before, but that's what we discover thanks to our genomic measurement. But we're seeing that people who have healthy skin and report no skin conditions have a bacterial species at a quite high level, I would say in the top 3 bacteria that is always present and that we don't find in problematic skin. So that's very interesting. And no scientist has published about this bacteria before. So it's going to be very interesting for us to research it and see if actually this could be a solution to get a more balanced and healthier skin long term. So time and science will tell.
Patent the bacteria.
And so that's mostly for my bacteria. And then if we looked at my fungi, so normally a healthy skin, the most common fungi you detect are always the Malassezia. It's extremely common, especially on the forehead. And for me, you see it's made up most of my fungi. I won't get too much into the detail, like my fungi are not particularly interesting. I can see that I have those two fungi that are beneficial for the skin. This one at 13% that seems a bit present in a bit more unbalanced skin. What's interesting is that we are the only test on the market for the skin microbiome that do fungal detection. And it can be very interesting for people who think they may have like a fungi issue, because we can see then how unbalanced their fungi can be or not. Even if we are not like a medical test, you can still learn a lot from it. And I don't think unfortunately, any dermatologists on the market today really do this kind of test to their patient, unfortunately. But I'm sure in the future it will be the case. Just to be able to diagnose better. Yeah.
We have a question from Katie who asked, if you just break out on your jawline, so your problem area is not on your forehead, and you swab your forehead, will it pick up the same bacteria that's causing breakouts on the jaw or chin?
Yeah, thanks, Katie. That's a very good question that is very relevant. Actually, what we've seen is that, let's say if you tend to have a acne-prone skin, we can still detect on your forehead, even if your forehead is not your problematic area, certain species that can be linked to the skin issue you have. And I would say if you tend to have breakout on the around the jawline area, very often it's linked to hormonal acne. I don't know if you've been diagnosed with that or not, but it's unfortunately extremely common in women. And it's a condition we are trying to look very closely at. We are a female-funded company, one of the very few that is female-funded in the microbiome space, and we have a particular interest in women's health. And we know hormonal acne is a huge issue in our community, so that's something we are particularly studying. So thanks for asking, and if you're going through that, I'm sorry. And I think then we can get to the rest. I see sometimes customers ask me, like you see here, I have a bad fungi that's as less than 1%. If the rest of your fungi profile looks okay, do not freak out when you see, a bad species that's there. It doesn't mean that it's causing necessarily skin issue. We think it needs to be at a certain percentage to really cause a problematic skin. And what's important is to look at the whole overview of your microbiome. And I'm still organizing 101 free session for people who take the test to discuss your report if you have any specific question about your data that you don't understand, because I know it's a bit overwhelming. It's a lot of information. What's great is that we created with the team a glossary for all the species we detect, from everything we know from the literature and from our own research. So you can already do your own investigation, but if it's not enough with the definition we provide, we are always here to answer a question you have and provide even more recommendations. So let's get into the routine. I think that's the very, very exciting part. And I think it's important to explain how it works. If it were just me, I would be only talking about a recovery routine, meaning an extremely minimal and microbiome friendly product where I will tell you to use nothing or just use, a cleanser if you use makeup or sunscreen, and to always make sure your skin is well moisturized. I think ideally it's what you want to do. You don't want to clean too much. That's the worst for your skin and your microbiome. And you always want to make sure your skin is not dry. However, I know we have different skin goals and skin issues. And what I've learned from all of you is that, for example, the number one skin issues that people face in our community is hyperpigmentation. It's a problem that can appear with aging, with sun exposure, with hormonal changes. And so we wanted to create another routine that we call the maintenance, where we can explain you which type of active you can use to help with your skin issues and achieve your skin goals. but I would always recommend to focus on the recovery routine, and only if you have a good microbiome score or that you feel your skin get more balanced after going through the recovery for a few weeks, that maybe you can start looking at the maintenance part, because it's more irritating ingredients. So I would always recommend to stay for what can be the most gentle and most respectful of your microbiome. So for me, because I have dry skin, this is what was recommended. And regarding the profile, because I also have this bacteria that was flagged for more like scaly, dry dermatitis skin, I'm recommended to spend more time on the recovery side. In terms of product, to use no cleanser in the morning, more like a thermal spring water. An example, and that's a product I recommend for almost all skin type, is for example, the Avent thermal spring water. It's really good because it's very rich in minerals and it's less irritating than regular tap water that sometimes can cause skin irritation. Then a moisturizer can be our moisturizing serum. I'll show some example. And then a SPF, at least SPF 50. In the evening, I'm being recommended a gentle cleanser and optionally also a moisturizer if my skin is dry. Where we give the personalized recommendation, it's more on the, I would say, on the ingredient parts. So the top ingredients that we recommend, and we decided to do it this way on purpose. We decided to recommend you ingredients and not brands and specific products, just so it can be adapted to different budgets. But a lot of customers have asked us for actually product recommendations, so stay tuned, because probably next week or very soon, we are updating all the reports to provide link to shop with products that are our brands, but beyond that, we partner with Credo Beauty, so you can also shop product at Credo Beauty that contains the ingredients recommended for you for different type of budget. So that's what is great. So the number one ingredient that we recommend for me is squalane. I mean, two of our serum actually contain this ingredient. It's an amazing oil that's non-comedogenic. What I like is that this oil is only, unlike other oils, only one molecule. So it's really good to avoid any type of allergies or irritation compared to other vegetable oils that have a large spectrum of compounds. The second oil that I love, and actually it's the base of the Start Over serum, is a Sacha Inky oil. It comes from a Peruvian seed, and we can find some version like in our line that is completely refined and unscented, and it really brings a really good moisture boost to the skin, especially when it's blended with squalane. And actually also this ingredient have been shown, like for example, we know that squalane is microbiome friendly. The supplier of squalane has done a lot of research on that, and we did it also ourselves, and that it can really help with microbial diversity. It also mimic a bit your serum with your sebum without clogging pore. And for example, Sacha Inky has shown to help like inhibiting Staphylococcus aureus. That is actually the type of bacteria we see very often in atopic skin. And it's also microbiome friendly. Other type of ingredients that are recommended are PCA. It's what we call a natural moisturizing factor. Maybe you've heard about it. It's all those little molecules you have in your skin that help to keep the water inside your skin. So PCA has been recommended by some experts to help moisturize, or aloe vera, that is another type of moisturizer. Another type of oil that is, for example, argan oil. I know we have consumers who really like that oil because it's non-comedogenic, but it really keeps the skin very well moisturized if you suffer from dry skin. So these were the top 5 ingredients recommended to me for my skin, and especially for the moisturizer I would choose. So naturally, I mean, for me, I love to use, for example, the Start Over moisturizing serum. That's what I use every day. I use just a few drops of that before doing my makeup routine or using SPF, and this is it. I personally don't need to use more than that, and I don't use any treatment serum or any other product. I don't like to layer, and I told you my skin is sensitive, and less is more is what really works best, and that's what I like to recommend. We also wanted to tell you, based on your profile, what skincare ingredients you should try to be avoiding in your routine. I know it's not always easy to do because even some clean products contain those ingredients, but It's more, to provide you some guidance and then for you to make your own decision. Any harsh emulsifier like sodium lauryl sulfate, I mean, now they have a bad rep, so a lot of people know about that, but really to keep in mind that, especially when you have dry skin and even if you have oily skin, to try to use always very, very gentle technology, because what's happening is that even if you have oily skin, the more you clean your skin or you're being harsh with it, the more oil it's going to produce. So it's going to be a very, destructive cycle that is very hard to break. So always be very gentle when you clean, even if you feel that your skin is oily. Salicylic acid, I'm not surprised because I'm super sensitive to any type of peeling agent, and salicylic acid can be a little harsh. So that's what I'm recommended to stay away. Fragrances and essential oils, that's what we recommend for most of our customers to really avoid, because they can be very irritating, even essential oils. Even if it's natural ingredients, the issue is that it's known to cause allergies in people and it can cause allergy over time. So if you can, I would really try to stay away from it. But especially in clean beauty, it's hard to always avoid essential oil because it's just present in so many products that it's hard, yes, to stay away. And then coconut
Elsa,
oil, yes.
We have another question, which I think is relevant to the section we're on now and the one we just went over. Kate asked, if someone has an overgrowth of Malassezia, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not a scientist, if I mispronounced that.
Malassezia,
what do you recommend? Yeah, that was it. I know that fungus grows with lipids. Do you recommend avoiding oils? And I think that's a larger question people have. If I have oily skin, if I'm having this problem, should I stop using oils? But she's asking specifically about Malassezia.
I've never heard about stopping oil for Malassezia overgrowth. I would recommend, of course, if you've been diagnosed with that, to always talk to your medical doctor about what they recommend, because they may want to put you on an antifungal treatment if that's the case, especially if you have more fungi than bacteria. I think that oils like squalane oil should not cause any issue, because it's a very refined oil profile that they use even in babies, and it has never been linked to some sort of skin issues. It can even be used on very atopic skin, so I would not be worried. I would say if you have a fungal issue and that you feel that you should always, or whatever your skin issue is, whatever you do to your skin, and if you want to try oil, especially if you have, like, for example, an acne prone oil or fungal acne, always patch test first. You don't want to get a rash all over your face. So always use a bit of the product for a few days, just on a small skin patch. I would say the size of a coin, of a quarter coin, and you see how your skin reacts. Because we tend to be scared that when we suffer from acne to stay away from oil, but even cream contains oil, and creams contain water and preservative that are not necessarily so good for your skin. And it's important to keep your skin moisturized. So I would always recommend you just try to find some non-comedogenic oil. And if you've been, if you have this type of skin profile, this is what will be recommended for you. For me, because I don't suffer from acne, I'm not recommended specifically non-comedogenic product, but I would be very careful with the comedogenic profile of the oil you use. So for example, coconut oil, you stay away. Olive oil, you stay away. And you only favorite oils like squalane or the oat oil that we have, for example, in our Oat Power Serum that is specifically designed for acne-prone skin, is really good at rebalancing the skin. And we've never heard of any issue of an acne-prone skin using that product. So that would be my recommendation. And we can go quickly, Millie, if you want, on the maintenance section. I'll go quickly over it. So here it's really to guide you on what type of active you can be potentially using for your routine. What I recommend you always is never start using multiple actives that we flag as potentially irritant and they have a little star in the report. So for example, meats, bakuchiol, and lactic acid. Never start using them together. Always choose one first, and you only start by using it once a week at a low amount. You try once a week. If your skin doesn't react to it, then maybe you can try twice a week. but never use it more than maybe 3 times a week. And if you're using another type of active, let's say, for example, vitamin C, do not combine them. Always use them like one in the evening, one in the morning, and ideally not on the same day. That will be even better. That's really our recommendation when it comes to active. But in your report, we will really give you a comprehensive list and explain to you how to use those active, how to avoid, what kind of other product to avoid with it, and when to best use it. So for me, what I'm recommended to do is actually to try the occasional treatment serum if I want in the evening. And we say occasional, meaning it's not necessarily every day. That's what it's important to keep in mind. And every time your skin feels a bit unbalanced, you just go back to the recovery routine that I would say is the best base you can do for your skin. And only if it feels okay, you can try to experiment the maintenance one. So for me, for example, I was recommended Bakuchiol, that is an alternative to retinol. It's way more gentle and cause less irritation because retinol is actually extremely harsh for the skin, can cause a lot of inflammation. So we prefer to stay away from it in the recommendation we do, and instead to recommend Bakuchiol-based products. I was also recommended lactic acid, also to help a bit to prevent wrinkle, but not necessarily to use it together with Bakuchiol, more to kind of choose between those two solutions, what I would be the most inspired with. And that's why here we explain to use it at low concentration and to always avoid combination with Bakuchiol or retinoid, and to avoid if your skin is irritated. And then if we recommend you actives that have no little star or particular warning, then you're fine, you can combine them together. For example, ceramide, because my skin has a compromised barrier, is very dry. Ceramide are extremely good at replenishing the skin, and that's what we recommend here. Or some oat kernel extract also that can really help restore the skin barrier. And actually, we created a product called BioRestore that is extremely good for those times where your skin has like dry patches or feels really problematic in certain area. It contains a high amount of oat extract to help rebalance it. And same colloidal oatmeal, because I was flagged with an atopic kind of bacteria. Colloidal oatmeal is a really good ingredient for atopic skin. But even if you don't suffer from atopic skin, it's okay to use it because it's really good. It really helps to soothe the skin. It's not an anti-inflammatory agent. It's not like a steroid or something like that. It's actually going to help you reinforce your brick and mortar wall from your skin. So that was for the recommendation part on the skincare. And the last part of the report is about the superfood recommendation that we've built in partnership with a nutrition expert called Jolene Hart. She's a best-selling author on the skin and food. And what I love is that she's not into supplements so much. She just wants you to find the right ingredient in your kitchen for your skin and how to, cook with it. So for my skin type, what I was recommended to eat, for example, or Brazil nut, or even try to get like a collagen peptides. I love that. I thought that was funny. Berries or leafy green. So that's what really recommended for my skin profile, to help both by preventing skin aging and also helping to boost moisture. That's why. And this is it. That's it for the report. At the end, you'll have information about our philosophy and inspiration and who worked behind it. So we are a team of experts in skin science and macrobiology. I have 2 PhDs helping us, Dr. Kelly Haas, who has worked as a scholar at University of California at UC Davis in California, and Dr. Grace Park, who is based in Korea. She's our head of research and development. She's in Seoul, and she's an expert. She did her PhD on the skin and gut microbiome. Jolene, who helped with the food recommendation. Angela Sprove, who's our formulation chemist, who also helped me sort out the ingredient to recommend, and myself. I have a PhD in skin science, and I specialized later on the skin microbiome. After I worked at L'Oreal, I moved to San Francisco to work with a biotech company on the microbiome, and that's how I got into the field. That's a little story.
Awesome. Elsa, thank you so much. This was so cool. And I really like how the report, you get so specific into ingredients. And I think that speaks to you and our company's mission of leading with science. You don't just say like, oh, choose an oil moisturizer. No, literally use squalene. You know, pointing out these specific stuff to look out for, I think is great. And guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to use the chat. I think we've gone through every section of the report, Elsa, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And if you're interested to take the test, you can find us at Credo Beauty and also on our website on drij.com. At Credo Beauty, you can find us online and in stores. It's going to be the same kit. I saw your question, Chantal. Unfortunately, we don't ship to Canada at the moment. We had a Canadian editor who wanted to take the test. I don't know if she managed to ship back her sample from Canada to the US. We'll have to check if it worked or not, but we are not legally registered in Canada for the test kit at the moment. It's only for the US geography. All right. Well, thank you so much for participating. It was great to walk through that report. I hope it was not too overwhelming and that you get to understand. And if you've taken the test or if you will take it, once your results are available, you will receive an automatic email to book a time with me if you want to get through your own report. That's something we offer for free. So thank you. And I think, Millie, you wanted to offer a special incentive for people who participated.
Yes, I will put the code in here, but if you guys were inspired and want to get something, this is a special code for 25% off. You can use on our website for any purchase. So if you have not received a test yet and you're interested and curious, hopefully this gave you a good background. And if you did get the test and want to get more products to help your microbiome, use this code to go to that. And yeah, we'll send another email that came, but you can use that code.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Millie, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.